Hi, friends. Sergeant Host Eric, Lieutenant Rachel, protecting and serving the typological community with our policing thereof, and we wish to welcome you to the Type Police.
Try as you might, you just can't hide, 'cause you're mistyped. And I've been waiting to pull you over all night. Type Police, Type Police, please pull that guy over. He says he's INFJ, but seems extroverted, sensing to me. I think he's ESFP or Type Police.
And welcome back to the Type Police. Today we're pulling over a potential perpetrator who was recommended to us in a live stream in which I asked, whom should be Type Police? Let's take a look at this individual. He goes by the name of Alden White, and he says he's an INFJ. Let's find out.
Today we're going to talk about why INFJs go cold. We've got a little quote here. Grief is really just love. It's all the love you want to give but cannot. All that unspent love gathers up in the corners of your eyes, the lump in your throat, and in that hollow part of your chest. Grief is love with no place to go. Jamie Anderson, I honestly have no idea who this is, but I thought the quote was pretty applicable. So just to start off here, so we got introverted intuition, that's like big picture pattern recognition. Extroverted feeling, which is absorbing the emotions of the people and the environment around you. Introverted thinking, which is the constant rumination of why things are the way that they are. And then the last one is extroverted sensing, which is the least developed function, and that is I have my notes here. So that's like our perceiving function that focuses on like real world tangible data. So in a normal day-to-day situation, INFJ takes in information via introverted intuition, but it's important to note that this is not a visible function. Whereas this guy right here, extroverted feeling, this allows you to recognize if people in the room are having a good time, if the environment is passing the vibe check. This is like also kind of a function that sees two faces in people. This serves.
Okay. Initial thoughts, Rachel?
I think the clip of the woman and having the children like run to her is it doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit INFJ with me.
Alright. Let's take a look at some more of this. Let me skip forward a little bit. This inclusion of all these clips obviously is going to make it a little harder to type in, although it's going to tell something about his aesthetics, I guess.
Sensory run details and get straight to the issue. INFJs are kind of like emotional sponges. You know, everything's felt, whether it's small or deep. And that can be a blessing and a curse, I think. So congratulations to everyone that feels everything, whether you want to feel it or not. That can sometimes be a tough thing to live with. What's tricky with this function is...
Alright, so let's talk about this issue. Is it the case that INFJs are emotional sponges that feel everything and absorb every emotion, and that it's difficult?
Yeah, it can be.
Okay. So, I mean, do you think that... Well, okay, you answered the last question, is it difficult? But you didn't really answer the first two questions. The first one being, do you feel like an emotional sponge?
No. I feel like people like to use me as one. So like, I guess maybe yes.
Okay. Which means you soak up the emotions of other people. I mean, you definitely have a mirror-y thing going on that I've noticed that you're very moodily responsive to my mood.
Yes, I am.
But I I wonder if that's really best described as an emotional sponge, because it doesn't seem like you retain those emotions in the way that a sponge retains water.
Correct.
I don't know. Let's let him proceed a little further.
Is INFJs, outside of what is important to them, the INFJ struggles naturally with switching back and forth between their internal functions, introverted intuition, introverted thinking, and then their two extroverted functions, feeling and sensing. So why is this an issue? So basically think of it this way. Over time, when extroverted feeling is exposed to too much pressure, it kind of acts like a dam. Like, here's your extroverted feeling reservoir. And when you have so much pressure from the outside world, whether like that's relationship, job situation, something that's like emotionally taxing or draining, that pressure builds and eventually that extroverted feeling function like collapses. So basically your brain is like, yo dude, we are taking this guy out because obviously like this is just not working for us. So what happens is now your introverted intuition is, this pen sucks, is referring to your introverted means of thinking, completely bypassing your extroverted feeling. Extroverted feeling is like, all right, I'm out. Introverted intuition refers to introverted thinking as its premier decision-making process. And well, shoot, introverted thinking isn't necessarily all tea, crumpets, and cuddles, you know what I mean? It does not allow emotions to influence its decision-making process in terms of your new reality. It's important to note that this is also one manifestation of being in the introverted intuition, introverted thinking loop, the NITI loop, the loop of death. So when you're in that frame of
I think he's doing a pretty good job of describing INFJ. I don't doubt that they do experience that NITI kind of lockdown thing. I can't recall Rachel and I ever discussing it before, particularly, or me noting it as such, but I guess it's a combination of the negationary aspects of TI with the totality of NI. Maybe. Do you feel as though, like this guy described, you have a reservoir of FE energies, and then once those are used up, they get collapsed?
Yeah, I guess FE is the first thing to go. When I'm feeling stressed.
Well, it's natural to expect the world to periodically kick us into 3-6. So, when the world's not satisfied with our second function, we kick into either the 6th slot demonstrative or the 3rd slot. Although the 3rd slot functions more with the framing than it does as filling the same role as the second. So it's like, I think that INFJs have a limited amount of tolerance that they're going to afford via FE automatically, and when you push boundaries enough, then they're going to say, hey, that's enough, FI, and or hey, that's unfair, TI. This guy's beginning to convince me. I came into this, I guess, assuming he was questionable, based on being suggested he'd be pulled over, I guess. But he's beginning to convince me. I don't know, Rachel?
I think he has a great understanding of the cognitive functions of an INFJ.
For those who were waiting for her who made that comment, whoever made that comment the other day, this is Rachel disagreeing with me. It doesn't sound a lot like disagreement, but it happens, okay?
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, for some reason the clips are throwing me off. Like, if me myself, like, I wouldn't use clips because that's like a lot of TE. But that's not good. I feel like it's not good enough for me to
Yeah, I don't know if that's...
arrest him.
Yeah, I don't know if that's good enough for me to arrest him or not.
He's describing that, what INFJs go through, yeah.
Let's give him a little bit more chance to chat. see what he says.
Introverted intuition, which is still in the driver's seat. It's just now referring to introverted thinking to, move about. Now this begs the question, is this a healthy, justifiable behavior? So one of two things are going to happen. There's emotional damage done, but if there's remorse, if there's an attempt of recompense from the perpetrating party that was done to the INFJ, then yeah, I think that some healing and some forgiveness might take place. The INFJ can return to that normal state, and life can go on as usual. The relationship may be damaged in some sense, but there's ability to move past it, right? And then the other thing that could happen could be a door slam, which is the worst thing that could happen, right? So if those unhealthy dynamics of that environment or that relationship have been ongoing for some time, then that would be causation for a door slam as well. And so consequently, the INFJ puts on the shell, and that person is basically thrown into a dark abyss, never to be heard or seen again, as an act of self-preservation, so that way the INFJ doesn't take any more emotional damage or allows that one thing or that one person to influence them. Just to reiterate too, this type of behavior is almost always a response. There needs to be an outside instigation that serves as a trigger. INFJs don't really just go cold for no reason, unless of course some form of bitterness latches itself on for some extended period of time, and that goes undealt with, and everybody experiences that. That's just
Say it again.
INFJs definitely do that. They definitely...
He really sounds like he's describing the INFJ experience from his own experience.
Yep.
And that's suggestive to me that he's probably... at least that we should let him go.
Yes.
I mean, I agree. I don't necessarily love the inclusion of the clips, but I get why one would want to do that. I didn't also necessarily love the background music, but I get why one would want to do that. And it wasn't a terrible choice. Regardless, I found him insightful.
Yes.
I found him generally correct.
Yes.
And like somebody who knew from their own life what an INFJ is like, basically.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So I guess we agree we're going to let him go, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, there's a quick episode for you of That's Right. It's not the right for a Reese. This isn't Scooby-Doo. It is instead... What is it, Rachel?
The type police.
Try as you might, you just can't hide, 'cause you're mistyped. And I've been waiting to pull you over all night. Type police, type police. Please pull that guy over. He says he's INTP, but seems extroverted, sensing to me. I think he's ESFP or type police.
All right, you have a good evening, sir. You're releasing your own recognizance,
Yes.
and viewers, don't be afraid to leave suggestions for future perps in the comments. We're looking for
do.
suggestions. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night.